Can I start with my lobster roll?
Go ahead.
His name is Fred. His last name is Warner. And he is pound for pound the single best San Francisco 49er. I mean, I love Brock. We've been really impressed by Jordan Mason. Great to see Deebo have a game with a little bit of violence behind it. We know that Bosa really affected the pile last night. He had a great game, but Fred Warner has been the through line of excellence in every single game we have seen so far this year. It is easy to give this lobster roll to Fred Warner, a team-high 11 tackles, a pass defended, a forced fumble on the evening. He now has 51 passes defended as a linebacker, only 2 behind Patrick Willis, who you were hanging out with last night, Paulie Mack. 1 forced fumble on the day. He's now got 4 this season, 15 in his career, only 1 behind that Patrick Willis guy. It's amazing how often his name is on the list of everything that a linebacker's ever done for the 49ers. But Fred Warner is going to the Hall of Fame. Like I'm now going to talk about him as future Hall of Famer Fred Warner, because that's who he is. He is pound for pound the best San Francisco 49er. I don't even think it's close.
Great player, and he's mastered the the punch out. And he had another one yesterday, and it's like, and it's an amazing thing too. I asked him about it a few weeks ago. I'm like, where did this come from? Is this all because of your boxing training in the off season, or is your focus changed? And he's like, you know what? The longer I play in this league, the more I realize that possession of the ball is just like it's bigger than like the biggest tackle you ever made. It's bigger than the biggest sack that you ever made that doesn't involve a strip. Possession of the ball is everything. And he's like, the more I play in the league, the more I see the value of it. And so now it's like, I bring myself into every play with that mindset of I'm taking the ball away. And, I'm sure, he's running, he's seeing all kinds of body parts and all kinds of movement, and he just focuses in on that ball. You can tell. And it's like he just kamikazes that fist right to the ball. It's uncanny how well he does it. And it's a skill, guys. I remember interviewing D Ford, and D Ford said, hey, look, I was good when I was sacking the quarterback, but I'm way better now that I'm strip sacking the quarterback. And he had kind of perfected it towards the end. Possession means everything. If you can cause fumbles or interceptions, you're a star. You're going to make the Pro Bowl.
It's like Charles Tillman with the Bears back in the day, his peanut punch. And no one invented causing a fumble. It's hard to say I'm the inventor of that, but the peanut punch really became like a thing that was discussed, and it felt like more players tried to emulate it. And I think Fred Warner has absolutely perfected it. He is, what's the weakness? What is the Fred Warner weakness? If you had to go into court and argue the weakness of Fred Warner is, what would you even put forward?
Underpowered at the point of attack, maybe. I mean, that was the book on him coming out of BYU. He's obviously gotten so much stronger now, but he's so special in the other phases that's the only thing you could argue. I mean, he is I would argue that he's the best linebacker running backwards, in coverage, in other words, that I've ever seen. I mean, literally ever seen. But I mean, we also should expect that because it is a passing game now, and you have to be able to play coverage. It is interesting though. You see it in other sports like lacrosse. My kid played lacrosse. I played lacrosse in college, and I played in high school, and I've seen a bunch of my kids' friends playing lacrosse. Sometimes, you'll in an open field situation, one guy plays the ball, the other guy plays the man. In the old NFL, the safeties always played the man. Now they play the ball, and the coverage is so much better, and you don't see those gigantic detonating hits that you saw from Fulcher and Ronnie and Chuck Cecil and Browner and all those 80s safeties, but you do see guys covering better than the safeties of yesteryear ever did.
Hey, Krooks, who's getting your lobster roll? Who are you going to reward with the Sam's Chowder House lobster roll of the game?
When I talk a lot of S about guys, I feel like I need to walk it back when they step up. And I talked a lot of S this week about Deebo Samuel, about how slow he was and how his run after the catch had evaporated and how he was closer to the end than the beginning. And every single freaking time that this team needs a guy to step up in a huge moment, whether it was last year in Philadelphia or last night, and just a gotta have it moment. Deebo, gets to that next level. Now, I expect him to be on the injured list today because I thought he took a bunch of hits, and I don't know what his injury will be, but I just got a feeling he's going to be on the injured list today because he took so many hits. But 3 catches for 102 yards, that long touchdown, that tone-setting touchdown. He also had 4 carries for 15 yards. He took some of the abuse in the backfield when Mason went down. It was a group effort, right? They had 33 carries, 1 for Juice, 4 for Deebo, 5 for Taylor, 4 for Purdy, 9 for Mason, 10 for Garendo. So it was a shared deal. But I'll give my lobster roll to Deebo on the offense. And the guy that I was kind of, throwing dirt on a little bit was Bosa. I thought I threw Bosa's name on a list of guys that in my mind, it's like the old coach used to tell me, hey, if you're doing personnel, just never forget how fast it all goes by, and that, you fall from grace really fast. And then suddenly at some point you look up and you're all you got is the name on the back of the jersey, and it doesn't really reflect who you are anymore. And it was a great lesson. And I threw a bunch of Niners out there that belonged on that list, including Deebo, and I threw Bosa on there. And of course, Bosa had just an epic day. I mean, what do you have? 15 pressures or something like that. That was one of the best performances I've seen from Bosa in his entire career. So I give my lobster roll on D to Bosa, lobster roll on O to Deebo.
All right, boys. Let me just come off the top rope here because I got a lobster roll I want to dish out too. And part of me, actually, I thought about Brock Purdy because it was interesting. I've been noticing that he's taken some heat lately. Niner fans are getting a little squirrely with what they're seeing from Brock Purdy, or maybe I should say what they're not seeing from Brock Purdy. I was pleased with how he performed last night. The touchdown passes to Kittle in particular, I thought he put in some really tight windows. So shout out to Brock. I'll give him like a bite of the lobster roll, but for the rest of the lobster roll, I got to shout out my man, the man of the hour. He wears number 35 in your scorecard. Mathew, I'm right. Bro, let me just say this. Bringing a kicker in off the street like that you're always rolling the dice. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, it's a nationally televised game. It's a division game. It's a fierce rivalry. Here comes all 35 trotting out like it was no sweat at all. Because I was worried going into the game. This is the kind of game, a Thursday night, these two teams could come down to a late field goal. Mercifully, it didn't come down to that. But all things considered, I just want to give him a little bit of love because he did perform. They called this number. Oh, and by the way, last thing, you guys, D. Bruce Cruz, can we stop? Larry, you were talking about special teams and how important they are to the overall success of the games, or rather turnovers you were talking about. Dude, can we ask our kickers to stop making tackles already? Bro, did you see Nick Wright late in the fourth quarter? He's rolling. He's making plays. Like, I don't want kickers making tackles anymore. We already lost Moody. And at the end of the game, I see Wright walking off holding his shoulder. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But barring that, I will give my lobster roll to Mathew. I'm right, because he did perform.